Hey everybody, another Scoop Talk coming to you late in the night from the Herald Times office.
We got more drama.
We really have to stop meeting like this, Dustin.
We do. It's too late. We should be doing something else.
We absolutely should. I have a wife, a child. The child's asleep. I
have beer in my fridge.
You have beer in your fridge, yes.
Anyway.
Bud Light is your child. Okay.
Anyway,
let's discuss serious things. Guy-Marc Michel has been declared ineligible by the NCAA. He will never play for the Indiana Hoosiers or any other Division I team.
Yep.
It was a combination. We really thought it was going to be about the amateur status, benefits. Right. That was not an issue.
We figured money had to be an issue, or thought it might be an issue if it was around this long, because usually it just seems like you get suspended for how many games you played. But there were three factors, that all came together on this one. So I'll go through them.
Okay.
The ones you already knew were the fact that he did play professionally with Slouk Nancy, the French professional team in the A League. He was with their club for, I guess, several years, and in the 2007-08 season, he was called up to play with the Pro A team, which actually won the league championship. He played with some other college guys. That I think Ricardo Greer was on the team from Pitt, and some other guys. Yes. So that obviously, just him playing is an issue. But what he also did, he also signed a contract with the club, and that causes a whole bunch of problems. If you sign typically what we met with Julie Cromer tonight, who's in charge of compliance at Indiana, and the way she explained it is the formula typically if you play with a professional team after you could have enrolled in college, which was Guy's situation. It's basically 2 games. The formula is basically 2 games for every 1 game you play. It's typically suspended. But what added to that was that he signed a contract, signed an agreement, and because he got called up to the A team, that becomes a professional contract. If you sign a professional contract with the NCAA, that's a 1-year suspension. So what Guy was facing was a 1-year suspension along with 10 games for the 5 games he played.
Right. So we were already looking at Guy missing all of the 2010-11 season, plus the first 10 games of next season, which essentially means he would have been eligible to play in the Big Ten as a senior season.
Right.
He would have gotten about 18, 20 games as an NCAA Division I college basketball player. But the third mitigating
factor, and we used mitigating.
Because we used mitigating. Let's go.
Apparently he took college classes starting in 2006 at a French university. It's a complicated situation because it was the same school where he attended high school.
Right.
But they're deemed college classes. Basically, the NCAA and the Indiana, I guess, agreed that this was when his clock should start. The way it works in the NCAA is you have what they call a 5-year clock. You have 5 years from the time you enroll in college to use your 4 years of eligibility. So because he started in the fall of 2006, he's basically, by NCAA rules, he's actually a 5th-year senior, unlike a junior as he was deemed coming into this after 2 years
playing time, he is classified as a junior.
Right.
But technically a 5th-year senior now.
Technically a 5th-year senior based on his eligibility. So because he's a 5th-year senior and he has a full year plus 10 games of penalties to make up, he does not have time to make up those penalties, and therefore Guy-Marc Michel will never play basketball in Indiana.
He will remain on scholarship.
Yes, he will remain on scholarship. He can continue to work with coaches on skill development, receive all sorts of academic support and all the things, I guess, that go along with being an athlete, that go along with having a scholarship, but he cannot practice, quote, as a member of the team. Now, I'm not sure what kind of loopholes you can get through there, but it doesn't really matter because he can't play. I don't know if maybe he could be used as a practice body somehow, some way, if he were designated to be something else.
Because I don't know. IU has been in kind of similar situation. We'd check into it more, but especially that first season, there was situations where baseball players were suddenly practicing with the team. There were situations where random guys were suddenly practicing, not random, but guys that had not been recruited.
Walk-ons.
That were on campus.
Right.
People on campus were practicing and being given extended tryouts. And so there was obviously rules in place for that sort of thing. Perhaps Guy-Marc fits into those categories.
Somehow. Who knows? Exactly.
Anyways, we will never see him play for Indiana. If you're an Indiana basketball fan, that may be absolutely the most pertinent info. Is that the Hoosiers will have to go through the rest of the season with essentially 3 guys to play the 4 and 5 position.
Bobby Capobianco, Tom Pritchard, and Derek Elston,
who are all kind of foul prone.
Yes, very much so.
The fourth body would have been useful. And what we had seen from Guy-Marc Michel indicated that he would have made an impact in some form or fashion for this team.
Yeah. It's a strange situation, basically,
it is.
and it obviously it's a painful one for Indiana. I mean, it's one that you look at and say, all right, well, okay, why didn't you know? Why weren't you kind of aware of this? I mean, obviously the French University situation seems to be information that they would not have been able to put together until a lot of research and really looking into this.
They actually didn't know it until they asked each athlete to fill out a form saying where he had received education before, and Guy put the university on there.
Yeah.
And when Julia Cromer said tonight, that was the first time they had heard of this.
Because it obviously wasn't an issue in junior college. I don't know if
junior colleges are the Wild West.
They are.
I mean,
in Idaho.
Literally the Wild West.
Yeah.
Literally, it was. I mean, it was just. It was at Northern Idaho Community College or whatever it was called,
right?
And potato fields.
Yeah.
That's all this.
Yeah. So it's a situation. You know, there's different things to wonder. I mean, I guess were they just sort of taking a chance? I mean, they obviously appealed this decision, but they didn't really appeal it on the basis of a rule per se.
They didn't have one. I mean, there was 3 rules in which he was ineligible.
What they were trying to do was basically say, look, you guys have kind of ruled in favor of the player in a few different fashions. You've come up with more rules to allow for more flexibility, but those rules, that flexibility applies to players who kind of played in high school professionally, because you can kind of do that in Europe. It's kind of fast and loose over there.
Yeah.
So they sort of amended those rules to make it more flexible for people who were in that situation. And with Indiana was kind of saying, look, you see that it's a little bit different. This kid did not try to collect benefits. He wanted to maintain amateur status. So he did all these things. He should have an opportunity to continue to play. Whether or not there's a rule for that or not, you should look into this.
They fell at the mercy of the NCAA. And Dustin, how does that normally work out?
Well, the NCAA apparently doesn't have... Well, I mean, I guess it does have mercy in a strange fashion for the wrong people, because as you talked
about my column today basically takes the NCAA to task. Cam Newton's going to play for an SEC championship on Saturday
because they haven't
ruled yet.
Ruled yet.
Pretty well substantiated stuff that says his dad was asking for money, and since his dad made his decision, you can draw the lines there. Josh Shelby received nearly $5,000 in impermissible benefits,
and he just has to pay it back.
He has to pay it back. He has to pay it back. He doesn't have to pay it back to the actual person he got it from.
To a charity of choice.
And the best part,
use his scholarship
he can use his scholar. Kansas can pay him to pay the charity.
Else. Yeah.
That is the NCAA. And Josh Shelby will start his college career on December 18th. He will go to the NCAA tournament, play at Kansas, and then he will enter the NBA draft.
Exactly. And Guy-Marc Michel will not play college.
There are guys with more shoes than you can possibly imagine that have never paid for a pair of shoes. There are guys who travel the country to watch college basketball and college football games whose parents are on benefits. There is all kinds of crazy handshake, underhanded deals happening. Guy-Marc Michel was honest.
Yeah.
He was honest.
Yeah.
Honesty has no place in the NCAA.
None at all.
And this isn't about basketball. To me, this isn't about what impact Guy-Marc Michel could have played for Indiana. To me, this is a kid who has come to America to receive an education and get a chance. And the NCAA said, sorry. Josh Shelby gets a chance. Cam Newton gets a chance. Guy-Marc Michel, nope.
Yeah. That's pretty much what it is.
And I bet the NCAA would tell you they were nice. He's going to stay on scholarship. That
is what it is.
It is what it is.
I guess what we've kind of thrown back and forth, I guess the question you sort of ask is, so in terms of Indiana's recruiting here, in terms of was this, and I'm not claiming to have an answer, positive or negative, but the question kind of has to be asked, okay, was this a bad idea? Did they? I don't know if the word is
free money.
Careless
it was free money.
That's I think what I'm kind of the way I'm.
Yeah, they were either not going to. It was either going to be Baba Manura, who we were pretty sure was never going to play.
Right.
So maybe Bawa stays if Guy-Marc Michel does not come, because they had obviously already seen Guy-Marc Michel and knew he was going to play. And so when Bawa came to them and came to one of the assistant coaches and said, "What does it look like?" It doesn't look good, Bawa.
Right.
So maybe Bawa stays, but Bawa still. Bawa.
At the end of the day, Bawa probably would have had to go in.
I think Jeff Howard would probably be ahead of Bawa right now.
True. Yeah. I mean, and not only that, they are going to need the scholarship eventually.
They are going to need the scholarship eventually.
You know, and Bawa was going to be on scholarship until 2012. At the end of the day,
Bawa was probably not going to see his senior season in Indiana, no matter what the situation was.
Right.
Through some form or fashion.
So
somebody was going to take whatever future playing time he may have eventually had.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, this was free money. The bigger question is what you do in 2011. You now have an open scholarship in 2011. It's not an oversigned scholarship. It's legit. Right now, there's 12 guys in that class. So, but that also messes with 2012 classes and messes with your. It's a year to year process.
Right.
I think Indiana has to get a big man.
That's I guess the biggest issue now is because it's open. I think they needed to just get a big man to just kind of hold the fort. I guess what the purpose Guy served is not only that he could have been effective in general, but he also holds the fort inside until you get Perea and Jerkin and you would already
and you allow Cody kind of that transitional
year.
Something of a transitional year.
So now you're looking at playing him alongside Capobianco and Pritchard and Elston for a year. And it's like there's not a five guy who's really dominant there. So
none of them are fives.
Kind of becomes an issue. So now where do you go? I think we obviously know, like, people have asked about it, but Michael Chandler's not an option.
Michael Chandler's not an option.
Academics
Indiana
are an
does
issue.
not need to go down that path.
No, they don't want to.
No, they absolutely do not. I could see another JUCO guy, them go that route. Somebody that will be on campus for 2 years and then kind of...
Right, because that makes it less messy.
It's less messy that way, you're right. I could see him going a transfer route.
Yeah. Or someone who only has a year or two left.
Somebody that may be actually thinking about transferring right now.
Right.
Somebody who would be eligible.
He counts through.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
He can't. That guy would have to pay this semester.
Right.
Exactly. So that's probably out.
Yeah. No, he counts.
We've been for Offit said no.
Right.
We've been down that path. It doesn't usually work out.
No, not so much.
So yeah, we'll see what happens.
That's where it is. So.
We'll continue to follow the story, of course. Dustin, in 9.5 hours, is going to be on a plane.
That long?
When's your flight?
8:30. Yeah.
Yeah, you have 9.5 hours. He will be on a plane headed for Boston to cover the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Indiana may be important in terms of getting a win there.
Yeah. They got a shot.
They got a shot. Indiana, conference supremacy. Indiana may be important for that sort of thing.
I think Illinois still beating North Carolina over there.
Yeah, I will be here
Champaign.
hoping another breaking news story does not break, because really, I mean,
Fred, don't hire a coach tomorrow.
No,
wait a
couple
days.
Please
give us a week. Also, don't do it while they're in Vegas.
Yeah,
while we're home on Christmas break. You have.
We're going home for Christmas.
I am.
Are you?
3 days.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I had that whole thing with it. I'm gonna be here.
Yeah.
I'll be here.
Yeah.
We fly back in like 4 o'clock on Christmas Eve. Where the hell else am I gonna go?
I'm going straight to Pittsburgh. But anyway.
Championship.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks everybody.
Yep.